Welcome, fellow Walking Dead fans. Solid Dave Snake back here, continuing my month-long Halloween reviews here on my YouTube channel. And today we're going to take a look at the brand new 7-inch Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead Color Tops by McFarlane Toys. And this Daryl Dixon is based off of a Season 6 appearance. And I'm going to break them down and score them the same way I've been reviewing all these color tops, under 5 different categories: accessories, sculpt, paint apps, articulation, and action figure presentation. So let's just get right into them and take a look at his accessories, which he comes with a very unique accessory that none of the other figures in these color tops have come with yet. And that is an actual zombie head with spine. And I believe this is from Season 5, whenever he knocked out that one cop by ripping off the zombie head. And I believe that's why it has no detail in the eyes, because when he did that, he had his fingers in its eye sockets. But overall, there's pretty good detail in this. Not too much color variation besides the blacks and reds. Now, along the spinal column, there's a lot more detail. Even the actual spine is painted color of bone. Grab him by the head, give you a better look at the spine. They did a pretty good job with it. Now, it's a really cool accessory, but he cannot hold it. So you can't really have him use it. It's just almost like an extra piece to put on his base stand. And of course, he does come with that same Walking Dead black plastic base here that all the color tops have come with so far. And he also comes with a knife that fits in the sheath on his right hand side. Even whenever McFarlane made the 5-inch Walking Dead action figures, all the Daryls always came with this same knife to go in the sheath. So it's the same thing, just upsized for the 7-inch scale. And now that it's upsized, we do get a lot more detail in it, with a little groove on the back side of the blade running to the top, and even the little screws in the handle of the blade. So that looks really good, but just like with the zombie head, you cannot have Daryl holding it. His grips are way too wide to have this little handle fit in his hand. So it pretty much has to stay in a sheath. And his final accessory, what would Daryl be without his crossbow? And before I actually take it off and give you an up-close look at it, I want to show how Daryl holds this. Now, you can raise his arms to get it out of a more relaxed looking hold. Let me zoom back here and get it up. But you can't really have him looking down the sight. See if I can get it to the side and show you. So you can't necessarily have him totally shoulder the weapon and look down the sights. But that's the best you're going to get with him aiming the crossbow. And he does hold it very well. Of course, this hand, his left hand, is meant to hold the front of the crossbow, and his right hand, it's actually really tight. It has a great grip on the actual trigger and handle of the crossbow here. Let me get an up close look at this for you guys. And it is his updated striker crossbow that Michonne found for him all the way back from Season 3 episode Clear. He's been using it ever since. And it does have that kind of splashed camo look throughout. 4 arrows on the quiver and one loaded. And that's neat on this one, since it's upscaled, they can put in more detail. You can actually see the fletching of the arrow folded back there. So that's pretty cool. Very good looking piece. And the shoulder strap is very flexible. Of course, you're only going to be wanting to pose this Daryl with this crossbow, or else he just looks ridiculous with the way that his arms are pre-positioned. So I love the way they did the crossbow on this Daryl. So for overall accessories, they're pretty good. However, he can only really use one of them. But they are neat accessories, so I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 10. Now, let's get Daryl off his base here. Get an up-close look at this new 7-inch head sculpt for Daryl. Which, I'm going to be honest, I think this is the best Daryl head sculpt out of all the action figures that have been made for Daryl thus far. Out of the 5-inch line, even the 10-inch, I think it's better. This hair piece is a separate piece, which is kind of almost like a wig piece, but if I pull it back, you can see this is the best scan they've had of Norman Reedus. I think this turned out the best. I think the shape of his face is there. I think everything's there. Now, I do wish that it would have been some sculpted in hair, because that's really the only thing that takes away from the realism of this Daryl. And it is sculpted really nice, this hair. However, it just looks a little unnatural how it is like a separate wig piece. And parts of it are extra glossy, like they're meant to be greasy, but wouldn't his entire head be greasy if they were going to do that effect? They should have just did it everywhere. But it's on the lower portions. Almost like it's meant to be sweat, really. Well, if that were the case, I guess it would make sense. It looking more sweaty where the skin is. But overall, if I pull that hair again, you can see his eyes turned out nice. No cross-eyed Daryls. They all looked really good to me. And his goatee turned out real nice. Even the extra stubble they gave up on the mustache and throughout. That 5 o'clock shadow. I think he turned out real good in the face. Yeah, in my opinion, this is the best Daryl Dixon head sculpt made thus far, for sure. And overall, with the body, it's really a fantastic sculpt. McFarlane always does a great job with clothing every time, and they're just perfecting Daryl more and more as time goes on. His outer vest has a really leathery look to it. Beaten in leather. Like it has been wore for a while, which it has on the show. And all the buttons on the jacket and on the undershirt came out really nice. Just maybe a little mishap on mine right here. A little extra silver on the side, but barely noticeable from a distance. On his side of the vest, the stitching came out great. The silver loops are all painted clean. Even the actual laces themselves are a lighter tone, different paint color. And the angel wings came out great. They even look wore like the rest of the vest. Has a real nice weathered tone to it. And Daryl's arms are weathered perfectly. He looks muddy and greasy, and on the ends of his hands, bloody. The sculpt on the arms, the muscular, looks very natural. Of course, he is pre-positioned to hold the crossbow, which is unfortunate, but we'll get into that when we go over the articulation. Even in the creases of his arm is more dirty. I like how they did that. Just a great weathered look. And this vest piece is a separate piece, so if you pulled off his arms, you could get that vest off and get Daryl in a second look. But while I'm on that, we'll peel it to the side and give you a look at the shirt underneath. And even though it is covered up, they really didn't skimp out. The wrinkle effects go all the way through. So if you did take this off, it would look pretty darn good still. It would be highly detailed. I can't see under there that well unless I totally took it off. But while we're back here, his handkerchief this time is really long. They have a lot more of it exposed, or unless it's actually a different one now than he used earlier. But his actual pants have great detail. I mean, it's textured all throughout. If you rub your fingers across it, you can feel all that sculpted in detail. And of course, they have all those great folds. Farland always does a great job with that. Even great detail in the seam of the jeans running down. Of course, his knee is exposed in these jeans, so you can see the flush tone there. Now, that's great detail, but on this side, there are rips, and I don't know if it's supposed to be the inside of the pocket here, his underwear, or whatever the heck, if he has something on underneath these jeans, but there's no color variation here where that rip is. So it's great sculpted detail, but without it being painted, it just kind of looks a little blah. And same thing down here. Should have added some painted in detail underneath. Show some exposed flesh like on this side. But overall, the jeans are done great. And you can almost see some lighter gray tones throughout here. Well, almost like a little bit of light brown, really. They put a little light brown wash throughout. And in his season 6 look, he has the bottoms of his jeans wrapped up. Which I don't really understand that, but that's what he did. Almost looks like shoelaces on this side, and just a wrap on this one. But his shoes came out great as well. Really nice weathered detail to it. Great detail, even on the bottoms. They gave him actual tread, which, you know, you're never going to see this in a display, but they put it on. So overall, I cannot deny the sculpt and paint apps on this Daryl Dixon are absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to have to give both the sculpt a 9 out of 10 and the paint apps a 9 out of 10. And it really just makes it a shame that this next category really sucks with this Daryl Dixon, because this could have been the ultimate 7-inch Daryl Dixon action figure, but it just turns out being a great statue, really, because of the articulation. Now, he does have a lot more articulation than the previous Rick and Michonne from the original Walking Dead color tops. He has the same points that the two Fear the Walking Dead action figures had for these Walking Dead color tops. 14 points. So he does have a ball joint at the head, which you can actually surprisingly get full rotation out of. The hair or jacket does not limit it whatsoever. However, you're not going to get him to look up and down that much, or any tilt from side to side. And really, he's going to look best posed in this position, slightly looking to the left. But he does have ball jointed and hinged shoulders, which I was surprised they put on this figure, and they do go all the way up to 90 degrees, so that's a great point there. And they will both rotate all the way around as well, and they should have continued that with the rest of the arm. And it's really a shame, because this could have been a great 7-inch Daryl Dixon action figure, and they could have easily implemented the type of articulation into this Daryl's arms, having the ball jointed and hinge, the ball joint and hinge on the elbows and the wrists. But nope, they're just cuts. Cut on this side and a cut on the same spot on the other side. which you can get full rotation out of both. And the wrists have cuts as well. So it's a shame we didn't get ball jointed hinges there, but oh well. And we do have a cut at the waist, which you cannot get full rotation from about there to there. That's it. And useless articulation here. These cuts are pointless, and you can't even get them to fully rotate. And for some reason, they decided to give him ball jointed feet, but you can only get minor movement out of them. You can actually get them to tilt a good bit, especially inward on that one. This one, yeah, that one tilts in a good bit too. So, and outward as well. So that's weird they gave him those ball jointed feet when really there's no point to him, since he doesn't have any articulation at the knees or any good articulation at the upper thigh. So for articulation, it's a major fail, a 3 out of 10. And for overall action figure presentation, alright, let's be honest. This is an amazing little statue. For 17, 18 bucks, he looks great. However, you're not going to get him in that many dynamic poses with him just being able to raise or lower his crossbow. So he kind of fails in the same way that Rick and Michonne did for the 7-inch color tops. And here they are all together. So, they look alright all posed together, but you can't get them any dynamic posing. So for presentation, I'm going to have to give them a 5 out of 10. So overall, for accessories, 6 out of 10, Sculpt 9 out of 10, paint apps 9 out of 10, articulation 3 out of 10, and action figure presentation 5 out of 10. For surprisingly, the best color top scores thus far, 32 out of 50, which is a little bit above the halfway mark. Good ways. So, can I recommend this action figure? Actually, if you are a big Walking Dead fan, then yes. Especially if you're a Daryl Dixon action figure fan. Well, not action figure fan, but just Daryl Dixon fan. Because this isn't an action figure. This is a statue. But for $17, $18, it is a great little Daryl Dixon statue. So, alright guys, let me know what you think. Are you going to pick up this Daryl Dixon? Or are you passing on all the color tops? Let me know in the comments below, and stay tuned because I have a lot more Walking Dead reviews coming this October.